It's a wrist corsage. You wear it on your wrist. And this is your graduation gift from me.
Really?
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Jane Pauley.
Hard to believe, but Saturday Night Live is celebrating its 50th anniversary. Mo Rocca takes a look at the colorful past, present, and future of an American comedy institution.
It's a sketch, a very unusual sketch, kind of in a minor key.
On Saturday night, October 11th, 1975, television viewers tuned in for a comedy variety show that looked nothing like they were used to.
Good evening. Good evening.
The sketch is John Belushi as a kind of rumpled guy with a grocery sack.
I would like to feed your fingertips
To feed your fingertips
to the Wolverines.
to the Wolverines.
He's supposed to be an immigrant trying to learn English.
Next.
It's about death. And that was something that variety shows did not traffic in 1975.
Susan Morrison is the author of Lorne. That would be Lorne Michaels, the man behind Saturday Night Live.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
For 50 years now, Saturday Night Live has been putting on a show. A 90-minute mix of live comedy sketches, beloved commercial parodies,
Well, I'm just happy that we're all together for Thanksgiving.
Whoa, easy there, Greg.
and musical acts, each episode headlined by a celebrity host.
What did variety shows look like before Saturday Night Live?
They took place on a big, wide stage. It was very shiny, very blank. And the content of these variety shows also was kind of a throwback. Very hammy, almost vaudevillian, kind of Catskill comics doing seltzer in the pants bits.
Michaels worked on several of those shows, including Laugh-In.
Starring Ben Rowan and Dick Martin.
Laugh-In was really the first variety show that seemed to care about youth culture and being hip. But politically, that show was relatively toothless. What passed for political humor on Laugh-In was Goldie Hawn doing a kind of a dumb blonde bit.
I don't like Viet Cong, because in the movies he nearly wrecked the Empire State Building.
Michaels learned a different lesson working on a cornball comedy show hosted by Phyllis Diller.
The beautiful Phyllis Diller Show. Not just another pretty face.
Its premiere episode in 1968 went up against a Barbra Streisand special.
Streisand was the hottest thing out there. Funny Girl was about to come out, and Lorne thought, oh my God, we're dead. Everybody's going to watch Streisand. But as it turned out, the Diller Show beat Streisand in the ratings by a mile. And Lorne recognized, I think he said, I realized there are two audiences. There's the people I know, and then there's the wider American audience. And to this day, he's always telling his young writers and performers, we have audience in all 50 states. We have to remember this is broadcast. It takes in the whole country.
That's the news. Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Keeping all this in mind, Michaels set about creating a show for his own generation.
What do you want from us?
We want your pollen.
As it happened, NBC's then president was thinking along the same lines.
It's fun to knock network execs, but one of the revelations in the book is the role that Herb Schlosser played.
Yes. He was a visionary president of NBC who was looking to fill a hole on Saturday night when the network had been running Johnny Carson's reruns. And he dictated a memo that pretty much hit all the points of what S.N.L. was to be. He wanted to do a show out of Studio 8H in 30 Rock, which had basically been dormant, since the 50s. He wanted it to be live. He wanted it to be on at 11:30 Saturday night. He wanted it to have rotating hosts.
Before Michaels even hired his cast, he hired the writers.
If you look At those early days of S.N.L, the logo for the show was Saturday Night Live spray painted on the outside wall of what was then called the RCA building. It was like graffiti. And I thought it spoke volumes. Here these kids came along besmirching whatever the standard was, whatever the establishment was.
Alan Zweibel had been working in a deli when he got the gig.
And what was the joke that got you the job?
I gave him a book with my jokes in it. The first joke that I put saying that the post office is about to issue a stamp commemorating prostitution in the United States.
It's a 10-cent stamp, but if you want to lick it, it's a quarter.
And they laughed, and it was great. I was now a professional comedy writer.
The writers were young, and the cast were unknowns.
He really wanted the show to feel like it was speaking in the voice of everybody's funny, sarcastic friend, you know, grousing, wisecracking, just the way people are when they're trying to make their friends laugh.
And over the past 5 decades, America has become friends with more than 100 different cast members and the characters they've created.
I'm a little verklempt.
Not to mention all those catchphrases that have seeped into our conversation.
Well, isn't that special?
I gotta have more cowbell, baby.
The show's writers and actors know that the best way to make the audience laugh is to make each other laugh.
I think it was Paula said, like, let's set it somewhere really happy. So let's put it at Disney World. And then it just started to flow. And then as we were writing, we were making each other laugh a lot. But then we started going like, wah, wah, like just to each other. I think it was Paula who said, like, what if we just put the trombone in the scene?
Roy of Siegfried and Roy. He was attacked by his own tiger and suffered devastating injuries.
You're enjoying your day, everything's going your way, then along comes Debbie Downer.
Rachel Dratch was on the show from 1999 to 2006. She and longtime writer Paula Pell created Debbie Downer, that friend we all have who always manages to bring the party down.
No, wait, where are you going?
With that costume on, he's probably in the early stages of heat stroke.
And then we did it for that first time, and it was where everyone lost their minds laughing, you know, and they were wiping their eyes with waffles. And I remember being in a dressing room watching it and just tears coming down my décolletage and laughing so ungodly hard. And it was such a lightning in a bottle like moment at that show where you're like, I will never forget this 5 minutes ever in my life.
You want to kick it?
Let's do it.
Okay.
For material, the staff is encouraged to draw from their own lives.
I was always wanting to be a cheerleader. And every year, every summer, I worked on my back handsprings. I was a little chubby girl. I was very strong. I was nice and loud. I was really good at cheerleading. And every year, I didn't get it.
Fever's rising. Time to cough.
So Pell collaborated with Sherry O'Terry and Will Ferrell on their Spartan Cheerleaders sketch.
So the Spartan Cheerleaders, that comes from a real place.
Yeah, it comes from the place of like joyful loser existence is you go, oh, I didn't make it. Let's go cheer anyway. Like, we're gonna get costumes. Let's go cheer for things nobody is gonna kick us out on, and they still get to be dramatic cheerleaders.
I'm glad in a way this happened. You know, accidents do.
Over the run of the show, the tone of S.N.L has shifted away from gritty and dark towards colorful and more, well, cheerful. Morrison writes that Lorne Michaels began directing his staff to do it in sunshine.
Do it in sunshine means, first of all, everyone should look pretty good. You know, you want the costumes to be flattering, the colors to be bright. You don't want anger. He very often counsels writers to avoid writing anger. People don't put on the television to see people yelling at each other. Fred Armisen told me that Lorne said once, there's enough misery in the world. People huddle around the television as if they're huddling around a fire.
Try to keep it, you know, even with like dictators I've played, I've even approached them with like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but like love and kindness.
Thank you very much. What's up?
Fred Armisen played Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi.
Doesn't America have enough financial problems without expensive war? If it was me, I would spend the money on teachers. That's just me.
So for Gaddafi, I'm like, I'm gonna love this character. Whoever this guy is, I'm gonna love him and just imagine him as an eccentric. At his very worst.
Armisen spent 12 seasons on Saturday Night Live. To hear him tell it, it wasn't nearly enough.
Get back there! Get back there! I'm telling you, we're gonna have a nice time.
I loved it. It was just the best existence. And if you're sitting out 3 sketches in a row, you're like, oh, I'm not in these.
You two really don't know that you look like Beavis and Butthead.
It is awesome to watch your castmates put something together and see that magic happen. It's fantastic.
I believe that diplomacy should be the cornerstone of any foreign policy.
And I can see Russia from my house.